afternoon, friends from beautiful Bozeman. We are in Parshas Bahar, and it talks about the second form of slavery. In Exodus and Mishpatim, it talks about slavery when someone is sold by the Bezdin for thievery. They steal, they can't pay back, and the Bezdin sells them for 6 years of slavery. This week's Parsha talks about when someone is sold by them, they sell themselves. They decide that that's what they need to do in their life. They need to sell themselves as servitude, and then they get freed and go back to their family. And Rashi says when they go back, we have to give them the respect of their fatherly family, and they should not be in a place of zilzul. We're not allowed to disrespect them, dishonor them, just because they were once a slave. The question the Rebbe asks is, why isn't that mentioned in Shmois? In other words, when someone's sold by the Bezdin because he's a thief, you would think that people might disrespect them. And over there, the Torah doesn't tell us, Rashi doesn't tell us that we should be very careful with respecting them when they are emancipated. Why over here, when a guy chose to go into slavery, should we be extra careful not to disrespect the person? Says the Rebbe something very powerful. When someone is enslaved by the Bezdin due to his thievery, to being a thief, the process is very, it's full of remorse, it has a lot of introspection, and therefore there's a tshuva process. The person changes their ways, they realize how they really messed up by stealing, and they take ownership, and when they come out, people give them credit for their time, that they did the time for their crime, and we give them the credit that they did tshuva, they changed their ways. When someone sells themselves into slavery, it's a sin, but not a public sin. Rashi tells us that in order for someone to end up selling himself into slavery, it's a trajectory that doesn't start well. First, they do business with product from Shemitah, from the sabbatical year, which is prohibited. Then they end up selling all their objects in their home to make money because they lost their money. Then they sell their land, the land that they inherited. Then they sell their home, and eventually they sell themselves. But there's no direct sin, and therefore there's a very good chance that most people will not expect them to do any tshuva because there's no apparent sin. And because of that, we may choose to disrespect them when they come out because we don't think they ever change their ways. They're still a delinquent, they're still a loser, and therefore they don't deserve our honor, they don't deserve our respect, they don't deserve the dignity. And that's why here the Torah says, specifically with someone who sold himself, that we need to make sure not to disrespect them, we need to make sure not to dishonor them, because every human being, even a guy who did very loserish things, deserves the honor and respect as being created in the image of God. Respect and honor is always our way. L'chaim.